Hi, everybody. Back to Ghosts. We are in the middle of chapter 8. They're at the Chinese restaurant. And Coach has said that in order to eat your food, this delicious fancy food, you have to share something about yourself. So it looked like Lou was first, and he shared that he wished he had a brother because then he would know what he looked like when he wasn't an albino. Coach handed Lou his utensils and even slid the soy sauce over. Don't wait for us, son, Coach told him. You dig in. You've earned it. Lou went for it, and as he shoveled rice into his trap, Sonny spoke up. So I don't have a mom, Sonny said. I mean, I do, but she's gone. She passed away giving birth to me. Patty's eyes instantly began to shine. I could feel mine wetting up too, but I didn't want to cry, not at our special newbie dinner, but I felt for Sonny. My mom has always been the happiest lady on earth, but that's just because hasn't always been the happiest lady on earth, but that's just because times have been tough. But I would rather have tough times with her than no times with her at all. Sonny ain't never even met his mom, never even had her cooking, and all moms can cook when they're not too tired. That's so sad, Patty said, reaching across the table for Sonny's hand. I'm so sorry. No, it's okay. It's the reason I run. Well, I didn't really have a choice. My father made me. See, he did everything right. He got good grades. He went to college. He became a big-time businessman and found the perfect wife. And they had the big house and they had the nice cars. But my mom wasn't into any of that stuff. At least this is what my dad says. He says that even though he gave her everything, she wanted to accomplish her own goals. And the biggest one was that she wanted to win a marathon. That's it? She wanted to run a marathon? Lou said, no. She ran a lot of them. She wanted to win one of them, Sonny clarified. And she was planning to rev up for her training after the pregnancy, but then she died. So my father made me run. He felt like I owed it to her. I hated it at first, but I didn't have a choice. But now, because I've been running for so long, I don't even think about it anymore, and it kind of feels like somehow I connect to her this way. So your daddy used to run you? I asked. Pretty much. But it was to punish you? I darted my eyes from Sonny to Coach, who sat listening. Sonny's face started to pale. I guess. But ain't that child abuse? Ghost, Patty said, cutting me off, still holding Sonny's hand. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that, I backed off. I was just saying, there's somebody else at this table who might be guilty of doing the same thing, running kids for punishment. I gave Coach a dramatic glare, and then everybody laughed, lightening the mood. Hey, Patty focused back on Sonny. She let go of his hand and readjusted herself in the booth. I totally understand. I get it. I mean, not the punishment part, but the part about your mom. My secret is sort of like that, too. Sliding Sonny's utensils over to him, Coach nodded, but didn't say nothing. He just listened and doled out the eating utensils. He put another set in his right hand. Those were going to go to Patty. Really? Sonny said encouragingly. Yeah, I'm adopted. As if you all didn't already know, Patty continued. But I'm not like most adopted kids. Most kids don't know their folks, but I knew my mom. You do? Lou asked, with a mouthful of rice this time. He looked so surprised, like he should have known this about Patty because they'd been friends for years. Yep. Me and my little sister, Maddie, we go see her all the time, Patty said. She's cool. So why she give you up then? Lou said stupidly. Lou, Coach snapped. Lou stopped chewing. Coach pointed at me and Lou. Why was he pointing at me? And said, thing one and thing two. What y'all do before I pick you up? Study the world's most inappropriate questions? No, it's okay, Coach, Patty said. It's actually a good question. She raised her hand at the table. She actually gave us up because she doesn't have legs. They had to get cut off because she got the sugar. Patty paused to make sure we knew what she meant by the sugar. I guess her faces made it clear we didn't, because she continued. Diabetes. But who takes care of her? I asked. She takes care of herself, mainly. But she couldn't take care of us, Patty explained, now fingering the corners of her eyes. So you run for her, Sonny said, now understanding how Patty could relate to his story. Yeah, Patty swallowed. I run for her. Coach handed Patty her silverware. That leaves you, Ghost, he said, and let me tell you, I still wasn't sure what my secret was going to be, but I definitely knew I had to think of it quick because my duck was getting cold and cold duck didn't sound good. At first, I was going to tell him about the shoes, that I stole them, but then I figured Coach would not be okay with that, even though he said we were telling secrets that we were all going to keep, I had learned long ago that adults play by different rules. So that was out. But I only had one other real secret, and I didn't know if it was okay to tell, especially over Chinese food. But I couldn't make up a good lie, despite the good job I'd been doing lying over the last few days. I just don't want them to look at me different or give anybody anything to pick on me about. I mean, technically I'm still getting to know them, but I don't know them yet. I don't know anybody beside my family. I never even told Red and Dre stuff like this. Matter of fact, I hadn't even mentioned to them that I was on the track team, just because I don't want to go through the whole "you on a track team" conversation. But then I looked around the table, and everybody had told such personal stories about their family, so maybe this family story wouldn't be so bad after all. Plus, my duck was getting cold, so. My dad is in jail for trying to shoot me and my mother, I blurted. And before anyone could say anything, I held out my hands for my utensils. Lou dropped his fork. Patty dropped her knife. Sonny stopped drinking. Coach's mouth hung open as he pressed everything into my hand. And I felt good, different. Like, even though they were all stunned by what I said, I felt like they could see me. Like they were all running the same race at the same time. And I was also feeling hungry. Thanks, I said, taking my fork and stabbing the duck with it. I twisted meat off the bone and stuffed it in my mouth like nothing was wrong, like I hadn't just dropped an atomic bomb of a secret. But I didn't really want to make a big deal out of it. I just wanted to, say it and eat. What about you, Coach? I asked, though I was chewing the best food I'd ever had. Ever. Duck, who knew? Charlotte Lee could collect all the rubber ones she wanted. I was going to set the record for eating the most real ones. I mean, it's basically like the world's greatest chicken or something. Everybody else started digging in on their plates, even though now things were just a little bit awkward. What about me? Coach replied at last. What's your secret? I asked, pointing the fork at him. No. This is all about y'all, not about me. Come on, Coach, Patty said. Don't be like that. Yeah, I thought Coach was supposed to set an example, Lou said. Watch it, Coach sniffed, but jokingly. No offense, Coach, Sonny said, but Lou's right. And Lou's never right, Patty teased, reaching over and snatching Coach's chopsticks and fork. Coach shook his head. I can't believe this, you dirty little rats. But I like the fact that you're all ganging up on me, because that means my plan is working. You're bonding. He put his hands together like an evil villain. Yeah, Patty scoffed. Now just get to the secret or kiss your noodles goodbye. Coach snickered. Okay, he started. Well, it's true, Lou. I did run in the Olympics, and I won a gold medal. Coach looked pointedly at each of us one by one. Okay, so there, he said, snatching his fork and chopsticks back from Patty. And the conversation for the rest of the night was pretty much all about the Olympics. Coach really didn't say too much more about it. It was mainly just talking about it, what it must have been like and all of that. But I was glad we were off my secret. It was like I didn't even say anything about what happened to my dad, even though I did. And it seemed like everybody at the table cared and didn't care at exactly the same time. And that made me feel for the first time like I was one of them. They even asked me if I needed to borrow some practice gear, which I thought was nice. But I told them I was cool, that my mother was going to get me some soon, even though I hadn't asked for none yet. Plus, I kind of wanted my first jersey and shorts to be the one I ran my first race in, which I really hadn't thought about until just then. But I appreciated them offering to look out for me, because not many people do that. I could add them to the list. My mother, Mr. Charles, and, well, Coach. And it felt good to be one of the teammates. Like, they're really, really there, as me, but without as much scream inside them. And we'll stop there.